Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 22 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Evil Zank 44. Thank you so much for your support. We could not do this without you and we appreciate it so much. And we hope you're enjoying the season so far. So if you guys want to be house guest of the day like Evil Zank 44, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so when we left off yesterday, Janelle was campaigning to Unicole on Keisha's behalf. And just a reminder for everybody before we get into this, Unicole means Nicole A because she loves unicorns. It just makes sense. All right, so just a quick little what happened in this conversation. Basically, Janelle was saying, Keisha's not coming after you. She wants to work with girls. She wants to put up Cody and one of his friends if she were to win HOH. And she says, if you look at Kevin's last season, he was a floater. He's just going to go from group to group, whoever has power, and he's a liar. He will make up lies to get rid of people. Okay, so that's going to come back later. So a little while after that conversation, Janelle was talking to Kaser in the key bedroom, and Janelle was like, I have this Japanese foundation, not that you care, but it's so amazing. It is. It's got this serum in it. It's just so freaking random for her to say this, but I'm wondering if it was just she didn't want people to walk by and hear them talking games, so she just threw that out there, or maybe she just really likes that foundation. I don't know. But Kaser asked, what's so good about it? And Janelle was like, I mean, have you seen me? And Kaser says, that's true, enough said. It's just a classic Janelle and Kaser moment. You gotta love it. Okay, so then Kaser was telling Janelle how he talked to Davon, and she told him he's been giving off vibes like he came here to play. And Kaser takes this as, we really need to start warming up to people, because if I'm giving off that vibe and people are thinking that we're playing hard and we're not talking to them specifically, they're gonna think that they're on the outs with us. They're on the outskirts of our whatever group, if there's a group. So we need to start warming up to people. Makes sense. So Janelle says, well, I talked to Unicole and she's on board basically pretty much to keep Keisha. She's not, though, because after Janelle campaigned to Unicole, she talked to Cody. It's a lot. And she talked to Cody, and she told him she's leaning towards keeping Kevin this week. So the campaigning did not work. But Janelle says Keisha is terrible at campaigning. She says things like, I won't eat your food. You gotta do better, girl. I know you played a lot better on your season. I think she's just been out of it for too long, and at least she's collecting that paycheck for showing up, right? Okay, so Kaser is like, honestly, I don't know if I care that much, whether she stays or goes. It would be nice to have her here, but it's so early. It's not really going to affect our game if she goes. It's nice to see that he's calmed down from the other day when it was the end of the world if Keisha left. Okay, so Janelle and Danny then had a game chat in the key bedroom, and Janelle was like, I don't think anyone suspects that we're working together. And Danny agrees, and this just smells like some pre-season BS. These two are never talking, but they're okay with each other. No. So I don't see this lasting. I think they probably did talk before the show and they were like, we should work together. And now that they're actually in there, they're like, they're vibing with different people and they're realizing what threats each other are. So I don't see it happening. I mean, how many times have we already seen Danny throw Janelle under the bus? Right? So they're talking about the guys, and Janelle says that she thinks Tyler, Cody, and David are working together. This is something that her and Kaser have been saying for a while now. David is not working with them, but they are right about Tyler and Cody. So Danny's gonna and tell Cody all about it. So then Janelle asks Danny, what are you thinking for next week? And Danny says, I don't know, maybe David or Unicole. Oh boy, she just will not get over this whole podcast thing. Nicole F especially cannot get over it, but I feel like Danny is still harboring some like weirdness towards Nicole, even though they've chatted a little bit and they seem to like get along okay. I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, I remember Nicole saying that there's like one or two people in the house. This was something that she said today, actually. There's like one or two people in the house that she's just not liking because they like laugh at her to her face and like scoff at her, and I'm pretty sure she was talking about Danny and Nicole F. So anyway, Janelle says, yeah, David for sure, but what do you think about Christmas? And they agree Christmas is probably going to work with the guys. She's a guy's girl. She's going to be a beast in competitions. So Janelle suggests putting up David and another pawn and then backdooring Christmas. So Danny says she's down. I don't think she's serious about that because I'm pretty sure Danny is not worried about Christmas at this point. And she's in that like Memphis alliance with her. So I mean, she might be threatened by her later in the game, but I don't see her going after her right now. But anyway, it's interesting too because we know that Janelle has said that she wants to target Nicole F, but she's not going to say that to Danny. She also has mentioned Cody next to Nicole F, but again, she's not going to say that to Danny. So I don't know. I do think though that Janelle is not vibing with Christmas and would possibly want to target her soon. So I don't think that's completely a lie. But anyway, Janelle does bring up that she thinks that Nicole F and Cody are working together, and Danny's like trying to deflect this. She's like, yeah, well, Nicole F really likes you and Kaser, so... Really? Because she's talking so much crap about Janelle. Oh my god. She does like Kaser, but she does not like Janelle. So, she also says that Nicole F is really easygoing. And you just have to, like, tell her what to do. And she's like, okay. And that's, like, how Danielle said it to... Or, sorry, that's how Danny said it. And it was like, why are you saying it like that? It was strange. But also, Nicole F, easygoing? Okay. So, then they talk about this week's vote. And Danny says it seems like Kevin doesn't have anyone. Like, how weird was it when he picked Enzo to play in the Power of Veto? And she also says, I'm not really close to Keisha at this point. So, you know, leaning towards keeping Kevin. And Janelle brings up, she's kind of like campaigning for Keisha, but like without really saying it. But she's like, yeah, Keisha said that she would nominate two guys if she wins HOH. She thinks that Keisha would be easier to beat in competitions than Kevin would be. And she says Kevin is also going to be a flip-flopper, so, you know. And Danny's like, well, I don't care either way. Sure. Okay. So then Janelle's asking, well, what do you think the vibe of the house is for the vote? And Danny says it seems like people are keeping Kevin, which is true. So before this conversation ended, Janelle was like, don't tell Nicole F our plans. Like, I'm serious about that. And Danny swears not to. We'll see. All right. Meanwhile, Christmas and Nicole F were whispering on the Sky Bridge. So they're feeling really good about this team that Memphis has put together, the Unusual Suspects Alliance. So Nicole is also saying, I think someone is going to try and form a girls' alliance soon. Dun, dun, dun. And she says, I'm not really sure if either of us are going to be asked to join the alliance. I mean, I wonder why. You gotta think, like, Nicole F or Christmas joining the Girls Alliance is just, like, the end of it before it even starts, right? Because they're just gonna report back to the guys. I think you could say that about Danny as well. So, if they do start up a girls thing, like, leave those three out because they're gonna ruin it. But anyway, they're trying to figure out if Danny and Janelle are together, because they just saw them chatting in the key bedroom. They've seen them, like, hanging out before. And Nicole says, you know, at this point, we have no choice but to trust this group, the Unusual Suspects, until proven otherwise. Like, what else are we going to do right now? So they agree that Janelle scares them as a player. She shows no emotion. You know, people are having a really hard time reading her. She's good at competitions. They know that. So they are shaking in their boots about her. They're also wondering, maybe Danny is trying to get information for them by hanging out with Janelle, and she'll like bring it back to the group. I think Danny's trying to get information for herself and probably Cody, but I don't know if she's going to share it with everybody else in that group. So they also wonder if there's like another group forming on the other side. They're thinking like Kaser, Janelle, Unicole, Day, and Bailey. That's not happening. It'd be cool, but it's not happening. So anyway, later, Janelle and Keisha check in the key bedroom. And you may notice that Janelle is like always in there. And the reason for that is, I guess like if she's lying in her bed, she doesn't have to wear her costume. So she's been kind of like camping out there a lot. To be fair though, for some of these conversations, she was like up and about, like doing her makeup and stuff. So she was wearing the costume. But a lot of this week, she's been like, I don't want to get out of bed because I don't want to put this costume on. So, okay, the Janelle and Keisha conversation. They didn't have Janelle's mic on at first because they started talking like before the camera switched over to them. But it seemed like she was telling Keisha about some of the people that have been saying they're going to be voting for Kevin to stay. And Janelle advises Keisha, you should go hang out with Bailey and Day, really push the girl power thing, like you could still make something happen here. She says, it doesn't do you any good to hang out with me right now. And Keisha's like, I know, I already have your vote. And she said, it just sucks, like, hearing that anybody is voting for Kevin to stay. It's like, ugh. So, yeah, she's going to be hearing that a lot. So, anyway, yesterday, they opened up the BB salon. Davon did David's hair. He had the biggest smile on his face, and he looked great. Janelle did Unicole's makeup, and she loved it. So, it was a lot of fun seeing some, like, successful BB salon moments. Because, you know, in the past, we've seen a lot of really horrifying haircuts. Okay, so then a little later, Day and Unicole have a game chat on the Sky Bridge. And Unicole, we know that she's been going around talking to everybody, trying to figure out, like, how they're going to be voting. And she's been, you know, trying to get them to vote for Kevin to stay. So Unicole reports that everyone she's spoken to, including Cody, has said, keep Kevin. So they're pretty happy about that. And then Unicole starts talking about Janelle's pitch to keep Keisha, and ooh, she is spilling. She's spilling all that tea, all that info. So she's like, yeah, Janelle was saying that Keisha wants to work with the girls. She's going to go after guys if she wins HOH. Kevin is unpredictable. We can't trust him, and he made up lies on his season to get people out. So then Day is like, whoa, Janelle's been working on you for days. So they go over Keisha's potential votes, like Janelle, Kaser, Memphis, and Ian. No, they're not planning on voting for Keisha to stay. The only two people who have really been, like, wanting her to stay, but are, like, not even really campaigning that hard for her because they don't want to risk their games, are, like, Janelle and Kaser. Actually, Kaser has really backed off, too. He hasn't really been campaigning, just Janelle. So Nicole's saying, they're trying to get me. Janelle said she might be able to get Enzo, so that would make 6, and you need 7 to stay this week, so yeah. But Unicole lets Day know she was saying yes to Janelle, but she just wants Day to know, like, she is loyal to her and Kevin. And Day's like, I get it. Like, don't even worry about it. So then Kevin joins them, and he's asking them, do you think I have the votes to stay? And Unicole says, yes, but someone might try and pull something last minute to save Keisha. She's a little bit worried about that. Okay, so Unicole advises Kevin, go talk to Ian, go talk to Janelle and Kaser, and then she spills all about Janelle's campaigning. So Kevin wasn't too happy about that, and he's like, okay, I want to tell you guys, like, what happened with the whole, like, getting rid of Jeff thing. He's like, I don't even deserve all the credit for that. Natalie from my season deserves the credit for the Jeff move, and he's like, whoa, it's game on now. So he says he's really going to double down on working with the two of them, obviously. Also, Danny and Bailey. He feels good about them. So then Christmas sits down with them, and that's the end of that conversation. All right. In other news, Big Brother gave the house guests their own shaker bottles. Yay! And they had their names on them, but it looked like it was just like their names printed on a piece of paper and then they just like taped it over. Like that's what it looked like to me. I don't know. It wasn't like some fancy personalized water bottle. So anyway, Ian and Nicole F were chatting on the Sky Bridge, Millionaire Club, and they've been spending a lot of time together. So Ian says, I think I have a perception problem. Not like his perception, but like the way that people are percepting. Is that the word? Is that a word? That sounds so weird. The perception that people have of him. Percepting is not a word. So people think that he's too smart, and it's frustrating because like he acknowledges, yes, he is smart about a lot of things. I'm sure he knows that percepting is not a word, it's perceiving. So he feels like he's not actually that good at this game. You know, he got very lucky in his season. I mean, I think he's pretty good at it, but he's feeling a lot of pressure, and he doesn't want people thinking that he's like better than he actually is. So Nicole's telling him, yeah, if anybody like brings up you winning your season, make sure you're downplaying it. Don't talk about winning. Like, don't be the one to bring it up. And Nicole's also telling him you can confide in Cody. He really likes you. So yeah, Nicole says there are bigger fish to fry than him right now. Other people are thinking we need to split up Janelle and Keisha. So it's not like you're the number one target. I have heard people bring up his name though, especially like Memphis and Enzo. They are definitely wanting to get Ian out sooner rather than later. Okay, so they also were talking about how they want to go for the next HOH because they want to make sure that they're safe. And Ian is saying if neither of us do win the HOH, we should do the same thing with the safety suite competition that Janelle and Keisha did. Just like wait it out, see if anybody else is playing, and then we both play and guarantee that we're both going to be safe. So he's like, I know people are going to know that we're working together, but it seems like even after Janelle and Keisha did that, people aren't still like talking about it anymore. But, like, editorial note, Janelle and Keisha already had a huge target on them, and people already knew that they were working together. I mean, duh, they worked together in 2 seasons, but it's a little bit different, I think, if Ian and Nicole save each other, because they're not, like, already an established alliance, right? So I think it's going to draw a lot of attention to them, and it could cause a lot of trouble for them, too. But Nicole is basically like, yeah, I mean, even if people start looking at us, it's better safe than being evicted, right? So Nicole says she's comfortable with it, but they're going to wait and see who wins HOH, and then they'll decide if they're going to play or not. Okay, so then Nicole's asking Ian, how are you with Janelle? And Ian says, you know, obviously we played on the same season together, and we didn't work together, but there is that level of comfort with her. He says, she met my mom. Aww. Okay, so then Nicole's asking him, you're not gonna do what you did to Boogie to me, right? Remember the whole, like, get to stepping? Ian says, definitely not. You know, just the way that this is, with us being the 2, like, only winners this season, we have to work together because no one, like, people are going to target us and we're not going to win against anyone else. Nobody's going to want to vote for us to win again. So we'd have to be up against each other. So he tells her, you're my number 1. Oh, dang. I feel like she actually might be. I mean, he is very close with Keisha, but I feel like they're not there strategically yet. Nicole and Ian have definitely talked more game, I would say. So yeah, then they also just touch on what they want to do with the vote this week. My brain works faster than my mouth sometimes. They agree that they want to keep Kevin. Okay, so then, last night was a big night, y'all. It's COVID testing night. So they all had to go to the diary room one at a time to touch their brains with the swab. I'm not sure when they get the results, how quick it is for them, because I feel like it's different everywhere. But, like, they're on TV, so they might have quicker results. I don't know. But anyway, Tyler and Christmas had a game chat in the HOH room. I want to know who Tyler is the most loyal to, because we know he's got a lot of deals going, a lot of Final Two deals going. I need to hear some Tyler DRs. I really do feel like Christmas is one of his top Final Twos, though, if not the highest. They were talking about how they feel about this new alliance that Memphis put together. Christmas says, I spoke to Danny earlier. It was pretty much like the first time I think that they had like a real conversation. And she was like, I like Danny, but I worry that she's close to Janelle. I see them talking a lot. She must have seen Janelle and Danny like the few times that they've actually talked to each other, because I feel like they haven't talked that much. But Tyler says, yeah, I don't know. There's something that's just not clicking in my head with this alliance. Maybe it's because we just haven't all meshed yet. Maybe it's because this is not how you make a strong alliance. But he says the only conversation that I've had with Memphis is when he pitched the alliance to me. Yeah, I mean, all those times that he pitched it to Taylor. Remember when Memphis was calling Tyler Taylor? Oh my God, imagine he found out about that. But anyway, Danny, he says he just talks about her, like talks with her about vegan food. Yay, vegans. And he says, yeah, Cody tells me that he likes meat, and that's it. So Tyler says, if this group doesn't give us any information, we know that it's not legit. And Christmas is like, yeah, when I talked to Danny, she told me that no one's been talking game to her. She doesn't believe that. And she shouldn't. It's BS. So then Tyler brings up level 6 from his season and how, like, the first time that group all met together, they just had, like, a major info dump. Like, everybody shared all the information that they had. And if this group doesn't do that, it's not real. You know what the problem with this Unusual Suspects alliance is? It has no foundation. I know Memphis was trying to be all savvy by picking people that are like all around the house and not really connected. But the thing that makes an alliance really work is that the people are connected to each other and they want to like see each other do well and work together. If you're just picking a bunch of random ass people, it's not going to happen. Who's going to want to stay loyal to somebody that they don't talk to over somebody that they spend like all their time with? It doesn't make sense. Like, this format for an alliance is flawed. So Tyler says, outside of this alliance, just him and Christmas working together, he's going to try and get closer to Cody to deflect some attention off of him and Christmas. It doesn't seem like anybody really suspects how tight they are at this point. But he just wants to make sure, like, if he does go up on the block, he'd be going up against, like, Cody and not Christmas. And Christmas is like, yeah, I'm going to get closer to Bailey and Nicole F for the same reasons. So Tyler couldn't remember which Nicole is supposed to be in this Unusual Suspects alliance. It's Nicole F. Okay, imagine if he, like, spilled information about it to Nicole. That'd be hilarious. But anyway, Cody comes in, busts up this conversation. It was funny because Tyler didn't want to get caught talking to Christmas, so he like ran into the bathroom. He's lying to Cody. All right, so then Christmas leaves, Tyler and Cody chat, and there's more talk about this Unusual Suspects alliance. They're like, okay, this doesn't feel like the most amazing alliance ever, but they're not going to say no, especially at this point in the game. So they're saying, like, if we're going to be a group, we need to be a tight-knit group. Tyler says they need like a team building exercise or something. You guys gonna start doing like trust falls or like crack an egg on your head, let the yolk drip down. Oh my God. But he's right. Like, you can't just like start an alliance with these people that you have no connection with. So Cody's like, okay, if you were gonna start something, who would you want to work with? And Tyler says, you. And Enzo's a cool dude. So this is like the same thing that we've been hearing since day one with these two. But Cody's like, dude, I'm the most comfortable with you. You're who I'm taking care of. And then Cody's like, I love Enzo, but he's all over the place. And I feel like he's deflecting at this point because I feel like Cody's like super close to Enzo and he's got a lot going on with him. I mean, it could be like half true, but it's tough to say because I don't think he's talked to Tyler as much, but when they do talk, you can tell these two, like, really gel. So, I don't know. But I think at this point, he is closer to Enzo. So, they agree that they have each other no matter what. And back to this unusual suspects thing. They're worried that the girls in the group are not going to click because you got Christmas, you got Nicole F, and you got Danny. And they just feel like Danny and Christmas are polar opposites and is not going to work. So Cody says alliances should form around people that are already clicking. Yes, that's good. Yeah. They agree they are not down to play telephone or stay loyal to people that they're not hanging out with. Just doesn't make sense. That's another thing too, like this whole telephone thing. Memphis doesn't want the whole group to meet up at the same time ever, so they're gonna have all of these conversations just like 2 or 3 people at a time. It's gonna be exhausting. There's gonna be misinformation spreading around. It's just not a good idea. So I see this alliance falling apart very quickly. So then there was a booze delivery from Big Brother, 2 bottles of wine and 6 beers. Ooh. I saw a picture on Twitter. Somebody posted, they were like, and here's a thimble for you. And it was like this little tiny, like miniature wine glass that someone was just like holding. It was so funny. But it's always funny to watch them like portion it out. It's hilarious. Okay, so a little later, Bailey and Enzo were chatting on the patio, and just to remind you guys, they have a 4-person alliance set up with Cody and Day, and they feel like they're doing pretty well. They're making good connections with people, like, outside of their alliance, and Bailey says she's got Janelle on lock. Day has Danny on lock. They feel pretty good about Tyler. And Enzo saying, yeah, we should be good for at least a few weeks. So then they were talking about how if somebody that they're not really cool with wins HOH, they can try and get the target on somebody else. They're like, we still got wild cards. We still got 2 winners. So I'm not really sure who they're talking about when they say the wild cards. I don't know who that is. But Bailey didn't know who the 2 winners were. What? So Enzo tells her, and then he says, I'm going to be really embarrassed if one of the winners wins again. Like, we cannot let that happen. So, yeah. Then they talk to Day and Cody a few minutes later, and we find out that this alliance of 4 has landed on the name Connect 4, which I feel like they're not going to be allowed to keep, because isn't that like the name of a game? So I feel like they're not allowed to do that. I don't know. Usually they can't use like movie names or like TV show names or things like that. I feel like it would be the same situation with a game, but I guess we'll find out. So they're all pumped up about that. And then later, Enzo and Cody strategy chat in the HOH room. This conversation was like hilarious to me. Enzo is so funny. But Enzo says he wants them to protect everyone that they're working with. He knows they have a lot going on right now, but he really likes the people that they're working with. He loves Bay, Day, Danny, Nicole F, but he says, you gotta know, Nicole F is at the bottom of the totem pole with us because she's already won. She's had her chance. So Cody's like, yeah, but it's good to have her around though. She's super loyal and, we're gonna look really good next to her because she has won already. Of course, he wants Nicole F to stick around. Duh. So then Enzo says, who's talking like no game to me? Memphis. So he assumes that Memphis is with Janelle and Keisha. Nope. Cody is worried that Keisha will target him if he wins HOH. I would have said that at the beginning of the week, but things have really changed, and Keisha wants to work with Cody? What? Okay. So then Enzo says something so amazing and so true and so hilarious. He's like, just so you know, like, the girls on this season are way better than the guys. Cody agrees, and so do I. It was just funny, though. Enzo says, if we ever get caught up in all of our alliances, like, if they find out about each other. Now, he's talking about mostly, like, Cody and Enzo are with Nicole F and Danny, and then they're also with Bay and Day. So he's saying if they find out about each other, we'll just be like, oh, that's our side business. And he's like, don't say alliance, don't say side alliance, because that's going to freak the girls out. But he's saying, like, when we made these things, we all agreed that we could have things going on the side, but, like, our group is number one. So we'll just tell them that the other thing is the side alliance or side business, and it should be fine. I think they might be a little bit upset. I don't know. So Enzo says, all these girls I'm going to protect. He's really into working with all these girls or all these women right now. So it's fun to watch, though. I'm enjoying it. So Enzo says he does not want Kaysar or Memphis to win HOH. Cody did not tell him about the Memphis alliance, which is interesting. I guess even if he is going to tell Enzo at some point, he doesn't want to blow it up right now because it could be useful to him in the future. So it's kind of interesting, though. But Enzo says if he wins HOH, he's planning on putting up Kaysar with a pawn. He's thinking Kevin. He says that Kevin owes him, I guess because he's going to vote for him to stay. It's not like he used the veto on him. But yeah, I guess just because of the vote. And he says if the veto is used, he's going to put up Memphis. Whoa. So Cody's like, I don't feel like Memphis is a threat. Like, he's a big guy in here, but, like, I don't think he's a threat. Unusual suspects. So then the have-nots got to eat at midnight. They are have-nots no more, but they're still sleeping in the have-not room for now because of the bed situation. So they're going to be doing that until the next have-nots are named. I don't think anybody's sharing a bed this season, right? I think they all have their own beds, as far as I know. I don't know. But anyway, Day talked to the cameras late last night, and this was interesting. I'm really glad we got some insight into what Day is thinking right now. So she says, I know people really wanted me to work with Keisha. They were all saying that before the season started, but I just can't risk my game to save her at this point. There's really nothing that I can do. It's understandable. So she also says going into this, she was planning on working with Janelle and Danny, and she's got a pretty good relationship with Danny so far, but Janelle, she just can't read her. Janelle, like, no emotions. So she was saying, of course, I'm working with Bailey, duh. And she says she was really caught off guard by this alliance with Enzo and Cody. Like, she never would have thought she'd be working with them, but she feels good about it. Like, it just works. So then she also said she loves Kevin and Nicole so much, but she kind of wished she didn't commit to it immediately. Ugh, okay. So she goes through her priorities list, which I found very helpful. She says top priority, obviously, herself. Next, Bailey. Then, this is interesting, she said after Bailey is Enzo, then Danny, then Cody. Wow. I wouldn't have expected Enzo and Cody to be so high up on there, but also, like, not even Kevin and Nicole. It sounds like she's gonna ditch them. Damn. So then she's like, oh my God, I also forgot Nicole F. What is going on here? She's like, I don't know what to think about her. She wants to believe Nicole when she says that she's sorry about season 18, but she doesn't know if she can trust her. She doesn't want to, like, start going down that road again, only to get burned again. Interesting. Okay, so then today, Janelle and Kaysar had a game chat in the key bedroom, of course. It's always in the key bedroom. And they agree at this point they should just go with the house and vote out Keisha because they can tell that's what's happening here, and they can't risk their games this early to save her. It sucks, but, like, I get it. So Kaysar was then saying he thinks that Cody really wants to work with him now, but he's not sure if he can fully trust it. So here's what happened. Last night, Cody and Kaysar were chatting. I believe it was in the storage room. And basically, Cody was just trying to, like, save his own ass just in case Kaysar wins HOH. But it's not like he's actually trying to work with him. But Kaysar was like, oh, he likes me. He really likes me. So he thinks that Memphis will be Cody's next target. No, Kaysar, no. So then Janelle's like, okay, well, with this vote, we really need to tell Keisha ahead of time what's going to happen. They don't want her to be blindsided. But Kaysar's also saying, like, I think she's going to find out by the end of today. So I don't know how Keisha's going to take it. But they're also wondering, like, if we were to win HOH next week, who should we target? So Kaysar's like, I don't know. I feel like everyone wants to work with me now. He says Cody, Tyler, David, Davon, Bailey, Danny even maybe, but she's a little bit more guarded. This hurts me. So Janelle's like, you know what? You know who we're definitely not okay with though? Christmas. Oh, Janelle says that Christmas is faking it hardcore right now. This is not her personality. I feel like I agree. I think Christmas has been putting on a front. I think the real Christmas is going to come out soon. It's going to be like the real world. Everybody's going to start being real. Let's not forget, we would not normally have seen this whole entire past week. So in a normal season, we would like just be starting feeds like tonight or tomorrow night or whatever. So this is still like people are not completely comfortable in being themselves yet. So I guess what Janelle was saying to Danny is partially true. Like she is thinking about targeting Christmas soon. So then Keisha was also saying how he wants to make sure he talks to Kevin like today at some point to tell him that he's keeping him so that it doesn't just seem like they're jumping on the bandwagon and they're voting for Kevin to stay, because that's what the rest of the house is doing, which is exactly what they're doing. So this afternoon, Big Brother had the house guests answer some questions for Facebook Live. So it was like, who did you want to be here? Who cried the most? What's your favorite competition? Blah, 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 stuff like that. Okay. But then after that, Kevin was still hot on the campaign trail. Keisha, not so much. But Kevin, he's got to know that he's good now, because he talked to Janelle, and even Janelle is like, oh, if you got like 5 votes, I'll be your 6th. So she says that she's leaning towards keeping him. He's got to know that the tide has turned now. Things are really set for Janelle to be saying that, especially with the information that he got from Unicole that Janelle was campaigning against him. Right? So tomorrow is the first eviction of the season. And at this point, Keisha's going. Unless she's got some sort of Hail Mary up her sleeve. I don't know. I'm thinking no. But who knows what could happen. I'm planning on doing a live spoiler update tomorrow. Internet permitting. Our internet's been really crappy this whole week. So we are getting that fixed on Monday. But I'm hoping we'll be able to do a live update for you guys. And I'm not sure exactly what time that will be yet. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is linked down below in the info. I try to tweet out half an hour or so before we're going to be doing the lives, because we started doing that last season and it was a lot of fun. And somebody else in the comments mentioned that I should ask all of you to subscribe, because I think there's quite a few of you that watch consistently but aren't subscribed. So why not? You know, get the notifications so you know when we upload. And make sure you like and share with a friend. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And I want to thank you guys all so much for watching today. So I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully live. And until then, much love.